Good evening. Welcome to our show.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. So Jordan, how have you been in the 1 week since we last spoke?
Yeah, it's only
about
been 1
Salem?
week and everything's been totally normal. I've been super great. I've just been reading a whole bunch of Stephen King. That's all I do now.
It is it's what? It's like October 12th right now.
Yeah.
We've been really bad. Well, you know what, people? We don't owe you anything. Jordan and I have families. We have our own lives. Okay?
That's right.
It's just supposed
And
to
COVID. Like, we can always blame it on COVID, you know?
Oh yeah, it's COVID.
Yeah. We couldn't see each other because we had a quarantine, so I couldn't be like, because we're like pretty, this is not 6 feet.
Yeah, we're actually really close to each other if you measure it that way. I mean, on my screen, that we're 4 inches apart.
I know. So yeah, a lot of quarantining and stuff.
Your breath.
We're back.
Yeah, so we Jordan and I we actually, well, it's funny because I was listening. This chapter is crazy, first of all, just structurally speaking, because the book, I was listening to it on audiobook. The whole book is like 16 hours. And
Right.
this chapter was 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get through it a little bit quicker because I was on audiobook. I was like listening to it while I was washing dishes and doing whatever. And then I finished it. And then Jordan hadn't had a chance to finish it yet. And it took him another couple weeks. But then after he had finished it, like I was busy for a few weeks. And so like it's been like a month and a half since I even read the chapter. I think it's been like a month since you read it. So
Yeah.
we might be a little rusty.
But we'll get through it. We'll have some fun while we're doing it.
So our idea here, our approach, is that we're gonna, instead of going through the events in the order that they're presented, we're just gonna talk about the characters. Because this chapter really, it's like it gives you closure on almost everyone. Well, I don't know if I should say closure, but it sort of it comes back to visit. I think it was chapter 3 where we met like tons and tons of characters.
And it was just a bunch of little segments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of a reflection of that. And so let's dive in.
All right. Boom, 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 boom.
We go through this character list. First up, Kurt Barlow. What can you tell me about Kurt Barlow, Mr. Jordan?
All right. So Kurt Barlow is the main guy. This is the book wouldn't have even been written without him. So
we owe him a lot. We owe him a lot.
We so Kurt Barlow is the main vampire guy. He's old. We don't know how far he's gone back. He could be the original guy, V1.
So it's yeah.
So we haven't, like, through the whole entire book, we knew that he was a vampire, but we didn't really see a lot of him. And in this chapter, we jump in, we start seeing a lot more of him, and he's just trying to turn he slowly turns a couple people, those people turn other people into vampires, and then it just exponentially gets bigger until the whole town is just the undead.
Spoiler alert, Jordan. Sheesh.
Well, there's spoilers in here.
Yeah. So yeah. He does not read. We don't really find final closure with him in this chapter, do we? Maybe we do, because the next chapter. Yeah, actually, I think we do.
Yep. Yeah, it's the very end of this chapter.
I guess we can say he does get killed by Ben, and it was cool. So like he attacks Mark's family in his house, and then Father Callahan stands up to him, and they have a little showdown, and then he gets away, and then it's like a little bit of a mystery, like where is he hiding, and they're able to figure it out, and they find him, drive a stake through his heart, and kill him.
Yeah, that scene was stressful because it went minute by minute. So it was like it was a span of like 10 minutes through 2 or 3 pages almost.
Yeah.
Because like minute by minute, the sun was going down, and that's when his powers come alive.
That's
and
right.
then had to get the stake through his heart, but he had to like pull his casket out from the root cellar, but it was too heavy.
He was like
And
hidden back behind. Yeah, they had to get him out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it kept going by the minutes when the sun would actually go down, and
they were in a room full of other vampires.
oh, that's right, yeah.
And so they had to like kill him, but also get out of there. And the other ones were like waking up, and Barlow was starting to move a little bit, and they're like, ah! But yeah, they were barely.
Oh, dude.
Barely.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's maybe my new scary point.
The scariest part of the chapter.
Yeah.
So let's. So he gets defeated. Ben Mears. So yeah, he's the main guy, and he took out the vampire, and I mean, he's just there like throughout the whole chapter, and he's awesome, and he's the one who killed Barlow. So yeah,
right.
That's Ben. I don't think we really need to say anything about Ben. We already know Ben.
Yeah, he's been throughout the whole book. So
Bill Norton, Susan's dad. I don't remember anything happening with her parents. Were they mentioned as getting turned or running away or anything like that? That you remember?
Well, that's what I was trying to say. Like, I thought that I remember Ben like seeing them, and he was just like it was a totally different state than when he first met them.
Like they look different.
Yeah, but maybe that was just when like Susan left and she was distraught. Mom, I can't remember, but I don't remember anything about.
Yeah, the wife. I don't remember the dad, but I remember the mom, Anne Norton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, pretty informative that we're doing this show and we don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about. How about Bonnie Sawyer? She was the one who was cheating on her husband. That was crazy.
Oh yeah.
The last time we saw her, she'd been caught, and her husband threatened the guy Corey and ran him off and stuff. But then Corey, he met Barlow and got turned into a vampire.
So that's right. And then he came back, huh?
So in this chapter, he came back. So this is Bonnie Sawyer, and then her husband Reg, and then Corey Bryan is the guy that she was cheating on him with. And what happened?
And so he comes back, and Reg is like, well, I just put like a gun to your head and was gonna like kill you. Why are you back here? Like, I don't care. I don't care about you. I'm a vampire now. I'll do what I want. But in a different sort of, in a more scary way, he says it. Just, yeah.
And then I'm trying to get you to talk more. Do you remember?
I don't remember this. I remember that part, but.
Well, it mentions that like Reg has just been, like she's been making all of his favorite meals ever since then, and like he's been really abusive towards her and stuff. And then one day Corey shows up, and the guy, he looks different, right? And he's all pale, right. And the guy shoots him, but it doesn't stop him. And like it tears his shirt, but like his chest is fine, and like he opens up his shirt or something, I think. And then the guy Reg is like super scared, and then Corey, I think he just hits him or he grabs him and throws him or something, and he flies across the room and hits the wall and falls. And then, and this, I don't know, something about this was really upsetting to me, to be honest, like because it's all told from the husband's perspective, and of course he's a jerk and all this stuff, but like he gets beat up, and then he sees his wife go with the vampire. She's like, and she's not turned. She's not a vampire or anything. She's so captivated. She's like totally turned on that this guy just beat the crap out of her husband. And like, she just goes with him. And like, I don't know, that was really upsetting to me. I know she was already cheating on her husband with this guy. So she was already kind of in love with this other guy, but like, it was just so weird.
But don't vampires have like the seductive power? Like if you look into their eyes, they can captivate you. So maybe it wasn't all her.
Maybe that's what it was.
Free will, even though she wasn't a vampire.
Maybe he hypnotized her. That's a good point.
Yeah. because in this book, like there's some parts that say like don't look into their eyes, you know, like to borrow his eyes because then he'll get you.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Have the hypnotic powers.
yeah, could have been that, but
Next
also
on the
there's
list,
Dirty Rotten Scoundrel, so it could have just been that too.
the dirty rotten tart.
Yellow bellied varmint.
The next on the list is Brent Tenney. I left him on the list because he's one of the kids that rode the bus. Charlie Rhodes was the bus driver. And
yeah.
This is one of the kids, so I just left him on the list. So Charlie Rhodes, he was the bus driver. He was real strict. We talked about he was like a real jerk to all the kids. And one night, he has his own bus at his house. I guess he parks the bus outside his house. And
this was so creepy.
He hears some noise. I think he actually hears the horn honking or something like that. So he goes out there. He's looking and he sees there's like kids in the bus, and of course, he thinks they're trying to pull a prank or they're trying to steal the bus or something. So he goes out there to mess with them. Does he take a gun or does he just like a stick or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, he takes a gun, and I feel like it's scary because he's like this super rough, tough, like Vietnam veteran.
Korean War veteran.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Korean War. He like doesn't mess around, like super strict bus driver. He goes out there to yell at the kids and scare them, like, get off my bus and stop messing around. And they don't even like pay attention. They're just like running around and hollering and yelling and everything.
And it's a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
It's like the bus is half full.
Because he's like an intimidating guy, so you'd be like, oh, at least they'd pay him some attention, or like in a normal situation, any kid would stop for a second. They wouldn't just keep going, but they don't pay any attention to him. They're just running, and he yells at him, and then he realizes that there's something wrong with him, and then they notice him.
They look weird, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting to note that some of the kids on the bus were like the good kids that had never given him problems before.
That's right. Yeah.
He noticed, he was like, wait, why is that kid here? Like, what are you doing here? Like, wait a minute, like this is all wrong. And then like he notices, I think they closed the door so he can't get off.
Yeah.
And he's like, he starts to get scared.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills.
That's when I got scared, dude. The slow realization of, oh, I'm in big trouble.
And they're all looking at him like, just sort of like, no expression, just like dead, like eyes, just looking at him. And so you as the reader, you realize they're all vampires and they've come to get revenge on him for all the mean stuff that he did to him, I guess. And and then the scene just ends with him like begging them to stop, like please, and then like it just ends. And I mean, they must have killed him or turned him. Do you think they turned him into a vampire, or do you think they just killed him? It didn't say.
I don't know. It seemed like they were all over him and attacked him, so I felt like they just killed him. Like,
yeah, probably.
Just a rough.
I imagine they probably did. Jimmy Cody, Dr. Cody. Oh, such heartbreak. So earlier in the chapter, I guess we should sort of recap a little bit. The basic plan. We had talked about, they had a plan going at the end of the last chapter. They were going to kind of go through the town and just try to like find all the vampires during the day and stake their hearts and stuff. So they kind of split up. Ben is making stakes at Mark's house because his dad had like some woodworking tools.
Oh, that's right.
Stakes. And then Jimmy Cody, the Dr. Cody, goes with Mark looking for vampires. And they go during the day while they're asleep, and they're going to just mark the places where they are so that they can come back later in the afternoon and like stab them through the heart when they have the stakes ready. So Jimmy Cody, he's involved in all that. But then later at the end, the middle end of this chapter, they finally figure out where Kurt Barlow's hiding. And it's in the basement of Eva Miller's boarding house. And in the cellar.
That's right.
Oh, did you just remember what happens to him? Oh,
Yeah.
It was so sad. It was horrible. At least he didn't get turned into a vampire. he goes. So they don't have time to tell Ben. They go straight to the boarding house, and then or because they want to confirm it or something. So Mark and Dr. Cody, and then Dr. Cody opens up the door to the cellar, and he goes down, or they flip the lights, and it's not working. The light switch is busted. So he starts to go down the stairs, but then he falls, and it turns out that
was so evil of him.
Yeah, the stairs, there's like 2 or 3 steps, but then they've been like cut off and destroyed.
Yeah. And they put the railing there too, so it looked like everything was intact, everything was good.
Yeah, the rail is still there, but then, you know, you take a couple steps into darkness and then there's no step and you fall, and then all the kitchen knives had been set, like, how did they say? I think they said they put them through a piece of wood and they broke the handle off or something like that.
Yeah, they were all just on a big, huge plank of wood.
Mark, I think it was Mark, he notices that all the knives from the kitchen are gone. Like there's no knives. And he's like, he doesn't really understand what it might mean. But then, yeah, Dr. Cody falls on top of all these knives. He gets stabbed like 7 times. He's like all full of holes. And he's just laying down there. And there's nothing Mark can do. The cellar's full of vampires. And Jimmy Cody's just laying there bleeding everywhere. And he tells Mark to get out of there. And he just dies. It's so sad.
Yeah, it was a sad part.
But then Mark goes and gets Ben, and they come back and they find Cody, and he's already dead. But then they're able to do their stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're able to like set a board down there and slowly walk down, and that's where Barlow's at and everything.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Dr. Cody's death was upsetting. It was sad.
Yeah.
Donald Callahan, Father Callahan. Tell us about him.
I thought this was super interesting. That
it was weird. It was unexpected.
It was. But he doesn't get turned into a vampire necessarily, just like a helper of the vampires.
Is that what it is? I felt like there wasn't enough explanation. Like
it was going on. It was interesting. It's like it was kind of like what what's the bald guy's name? Yeah, Straker. Just a vampire's assistant, I guess.
So, maybe. So when Kurt Barlow attacks Mark Petrie's house, Father Callahan stands up to him and he has the cross. And it's a really cool moment where the cross starts glowing and he has all this power of God and like it's like all awesome. But then Barlow tells him, if you throw away the cross, like I'll let Mark go, because he has Mark in his hands or whatever. And so like he's like, you have to face me one-on-one without the cross and I'll let the boy go. And then Father Callahan his faith sort of wavers. And because of that,
kind of a symbol of him like throwing his faith out the door to save other kid, where if he just held on to the cross, he probably could have defeated Barlow and saved the kid.
Well, no, it was the other way around. He didn't want to let go of the cross because he was too scared. Like his faith was overcome by his fear. And so because of that, the cross stopped working and Barlow just grabbed it out of his hands and broke it. So like the cross.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But then Barlow does the weirdest thing and it was completely unexpected. I didn't understand it. Do you remember what he did?
I'm failing. I'm relearning the whole story. It's super interesting because I'm like, what's gonna happen next?
No, so it was like a weird moment. You're sitting here reading, you're thinking like, oh man, he's gonna kill him. Like he doesn't have the cross. Like Barlow's just gonna kill him or turn into a vampire. But he like hugs him really close and holds him all tight. And then Barlow like cuts his own neck, his own jugular, and then like pulls a vein out and makes Father Callahan like drink his blood.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like the grossest, weirdest thing. You're like, what is going on? And then the scene just ends. And you're like, what the crap was that? And then later we see Father Callahan again, and he's like sort of in a trance.
Going to the church, right?
Goes to the church. Oh yeah.
He tries to open up the church door and it like shocks him.
Burns him or shocks him or something. Yeah, he can't open the door. He's unclean. So he's been defiled, and so like
So
he
that's
just
like that's the middle ground where he's not an actual vampire because he hasn't been bitten. He's just sucked the blood of a vampire. So he's
which is so weird. So then he just gets a bus ticket out of town and leaves. And like I was upset because that's literally the last we see of him. Like he doesn't come back in the book. He
yeah.
just leaves town and he's so upset because he's unclean and he feels like he's a failure and like he can't go back. And so like he just leaves. And I'm like, what? Like, I thought this guy was gonna fight evil and be like the great warrior and all, like we talked about how he wanted to fight evil and all this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But
I didn't expect that either. I was thinking it would be a much different ending of the story where he'd be like the conquering hero and banish
yeah,
all the vampires and win with his crosses and stuff, but he just kind of shrivels up and dies away,
it
sort of
was
thing.
it was sort of disappointing. Like it was weird, and I felt like it was lacking closure. But I don't know if you know this. I try to avoid spoilers for Stephen King's other books because like I know they're all interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been told he comes out in another book or maybe multiple books
Oh, I have
later
to
on.
watch out for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't seen the last of him.
All right.
But in this book, that's it. He just leaves. And part of you is thinking like, oh, this poor guy, like he's really traumatized. Like he's definitely, he feels like such a failure and he can't do it or whatever. But in the other part of you, you're like, what a coward. Like he just left town. He left Mark and Ben to deal with a town full of vampires by themselves. Like what the heck? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a super good part of like a scary story though, that nothing ends like on a good note. It's all just kind of those odd, weird, like when you're playing a scale and it should end on the right note, but it just kind of leaves you hanging on a weird tangent. It
Yeah.
just leaves everything unsettled, and so it makes it that much more scary, even though it's not necessarily a scary thing. Like he just leaves, but you're in this state of turmoil that when
Yeah.
scary things do happen, then those become even more scary too.
Yeah, it's not like a satisfying closure type of ending. It's not a comfortable ending.
Yeah.
I'm just too used to reading, happy stories, I guess. I don't know.
No, I think that is the normal, but like when it's a scary story, I think, and there's a lot of scary stories out there where like it does end good. Like there was some scary spots, but it ends good. But I think that's why Stephen King's so great, is because he just leaves everything as kind of a shamble and a chaos, and you just don't know what to expect at all.
That's one thing I've noticed about Stephen King is like he's just not afraid to do what other authors might not really like. He'll go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like nothing's off limits. And we've only read two of his books, but like just what I've heard about him and what I've seen some interviews with him and just like little things here and there and also from these books, I don't feel like anything would really be off limits for him. He'd just go for it. I don't know.
it just keeps pushing the border to see what would happen.
That's what I think. I don't know. I could be
Yeah,
wrong. Anyway, um
you're right.
Dud Rogers, the guy from the dump, he runs the dump. So he got turned. We see him just for a very brief moment where he is resting in some sort of crypt, in some sort of hidden place. He's a vampire, and also he's with Ruthie Crockett, the girl that he had a gross crush on, who's like a high schooler.
Yeah,
He's turned her into a vampire now too. So they're together, and I think her whole family is there as well. Lawrence Crockett, the real estate agent, Saul Goodman guy. He
oh, that's right. Yeah,
have also been turned into vampires. So yeah, we see them just for like a very brief moment. What about Weasel Craig, Ed Weasel Craig? Do you remember what happened with him?
um,
And then also Eva Miller is next on the list, and they sort of have a together. Well, he gets turned before Eva. He like goes missing. She can't find him, and she's sort of worried about him. And then she finds like some beer cans in his room or something, and she's like, it's not normal for him to just drink by himself. Like he normally doesn't stay in and drink. Like he goes out and drinks and stuff. And she can't find him for a couple days, and she's all worried. But then she has like starts dreaming about him, that he's coming and visiting her. And so you as the reader, you recognize it now that like, oh, he's a vampire and he's turning her. And there's like a weird scene where like she wakes up and him and her are both butt naked and they're like standing in the window over the town, and he comes up behind her, and like it's like romantic but scary, gross, sexy, and it's like, what the heck am I reading? Like, do you remember Hal and Jack Griffin, the farmer kids? They were mentioned right at the beginning of chapter 3. One is like,
yeah, I remember him, but did it mention him in this chapter?
Yeah, there was a scene where their dad was looking for him. He couldn't find him. And then they were, unbeknownst to him, they were sleeping up in the hay in the loft because they both got turned into vampires, and they're sleeping peacefully the day away, waiting for nighttime. And then they were on the bus with the bus driver guy, with Charlie Rhodes. They helped kill the bus driver. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I think so. I could be wrong.
That would make sense.
How about Henry Petrie? We can talk about the mom too. Henry was Mark's dad, and then I can't remember the name of his mom, but Mark's parents. What happened
Mom
to that?
Petrie. I'm just getting mixed up about what was in this chapter and what wasn't, because like she turned a while ago and was getting like sick and stuff. I thought, didn't they die early?
You're thinking of Glick, of Danny
Glick.
Glick.
That's right.
This is so Mark goes to they go to the Marston house with Ben and them, and they find Straker. They find Straker's body all drained of its blood and stuff. And then Father Callahan is like, I got to take this kid back home so his parents aren't freaking out. So they split up. He goes to the Petrie's house, and Ben and Dr. Cody to go back to the hospital with Matt Burke. And then that's when Barlow attacks at Mark Petrie's house. Do you remember what that part? Oh, come on, Jordan.
Man, dude.
It's actually pretty intense.
All right, I'm excited.
You all, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I always think of vampires as like, they don't rush. They're smooth and elegant, and they don't break things. They just glide in. They're classy.
They're very upper class.
Distinguished.
None of these blue collar workers.
But this time, it's not like that. So they're at his house, and Father Callahan is trying to convince Mark's dad that like there's a vampire in the town and stuff. And Mark's dad is like, whatever, I'm a university professor. I don't believe this stuff. And then the phone line goes out. Remember that from the hospital, they're trying to call Mark and Father Callahan, and like it won't go through. So the phone line is down.
Oh yeah.
And then the window like explodes inward, and Kurt Barlow just like erupts into the house, and like he just breaks through. He just jumps through the window. Like he like destroys half the wall. I'm here. And I don't know why I did.
Yeah, I remember that. And then he smashes their heads together.
There you go. Yeah, he kills them.
Yeah. That's too
grabs
bad.
him and just. He's a very powerful man.
That's very attractive. Power.
Imagine being strong, like just like, and he didn't just like give them concussions, like he like smashed their skulls in, like their brains were like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Imagine the strength.
That'd be so nightmarish as a child to see that.
Yeah, and then Mark, that was something that I appreciated that Stephen King left in, that like Mark doesn't really get over that. Like he keeps talking about it, a few times throughout the rest of the book. Like he's super traumatized. He saw his
Yeah.
parents
I
in a
know.
way.
But you can see how like crazy that is because he's done all this stuff, like killed vampires and everything, and been, I mean, I'm sure affected, but not crazy affected. But then he sees this to his own parents, and
Yeah.
he can't get it out of his head.
Mabel Wirtz. Do you remember her? She was the town gossip. It was pretty.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a very quick scene, but it was pretty interesting. I thought it was kind of just cool and weird. I don't know.
I
She
remember something about her.
she gets a call from like her friend asking her if she can come over or something like that.
Mhm.
And then when she opens the door, her friend, and these are old ladies, her friend is there and she's like butt naked standing on the front step. And she's like, what the heck? And then her friend just jumps on her and bites her and turns her into a vampire. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I do remember that part.
Oh, Matthew Burke. I don't know if I quite remember what happened to him. I can't remember.
Let's see.
He didn't get killed, right? I think he just had another. Didn't he just have another heart attack or something? I'm gonna Google it and see. It says Matt Burke dies from a heart attack in the town hospital. Because they did tell us, Dr. Cody mentioned earlier, it was definitely hinted at. It was kind of expected. He said that the stress of it all, his first heart attack wasn't that bad, but like if he didn't relax and like get everything under control, that he was gonna have another worse one. And that's exactly what happened. That he was under all this stress from all this vampire stuff, and he just had another heart attack.
Kind of ridiculous to say. Just everyone's pretty stressed because there's vampires everywhere. And, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, how is he supposed to relax like with vampires everywhere?
Just take it easy, man. Just take it easy.
I wasn't saying what you were saying was ridiculous. I was saying in the story that was ridiculous that he dies because he's stressed of vampires.
Yeah, that is really funny. Like, I guess in a way, if I'm an author and I'm writing a story like this, I wouldn't want everyone to have the same kind of death. So, like,
Yeah.
probably just trying to think of like creative ways, like, oh yeah, this guy's old, he had a heart attack, like, poor guy, he doesn't get a cool action death by the hands of a vampire. He just has a heart attack. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Who was next? Matt Burke. Oh, McCaslin. McCaslin was he was the county sheriff from Cumberland. And he was like he kind of didn't really the character didn't really go anywhere. He interviewed Dr. Cody and Ben after they fought Marjorie Glick in the morgue
Mm-hmm.
funeral parlor. Um, he interviewed them and he didn't believe what their story. And then
Oh, that's right.
yeah, and then so he's sort of like trying to find clues and stuff, trying to figure out what's going on. And then he's driving, and I think, is it Susan? He comes across Susan's car on the side of the road. And when he, I think, I could be remembering wrong. And then when
Sounds
he
good.
pulls over to investigate, I think he opens up the trunk and she's in there and she bites him or something like that. I can't remember. Or she's nearby in the trees. I can't remember because she's already a vampire now. And yeah, so anyway, he gets turned into a vampire. And then I think he drops his gun. And then later, Ben finds his gun and uses it a little bit. I can't remember who he shoots or if he even shoots anybody. But yeah,
He just has it with him.
McCaslin becomes a vampire. And he actually kind of teams up with Susan. Like they're running around together, biting people.
Nolly Gardner and Perkins Gillespie.
Gillespie. I don't know. Nolly. I remember Parkins left. He that was another one that was upsetting. He chickened out and left town. He's supposed to be like the cop, the sheriff, like the dude in charge, and he's just like, I'm scared.
Yeah, he was acting kind of strange and everything, and all the gardeners like, what's going on? He
Yeah.
just kept looking at the Marston house like through binoculars, and he's like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Normally he's like this super rough and tough guy too. Doesn't
And
talk about his
Parkins,
feelings at all.
he figures it out. He like at first he knows something weird is going on, but he doesn't know what. And then there's a point during this chapter where like Ben and Dr. Cody maybe or somebody, I don't know, they meet up with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting out of here because like he's like, is it vampires? Is that what's going on? And they're like, yep. And he's like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. Like,
yeah.
packs his stuff and goes. He leaves his badge. He's like, I'm not a cop anymore. Leaves his badge. It's like, okay, like you have abandoned the town at the time of need. But at the same time, there's nothing he could have done. He would have just been turned to a vampire.
Slowly, just as the reader, losing all sense of hope. Because Father Callahan leaves, and the town law and order leaves.
Maybe that's the purpose of it.
Nothing to save him.
Yeah, maybe that's the purpose of it, just to sort of signal that desperation of like, there's no help. Like, we've got to do this ourselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, do you remember Nolly? Was anything mentioned specifically about what happened to him? Did he?
No, it was just, they were just talking at one time, and Nolly was confused about what Parkins was doing. And then he just told him he was scared and that he was leaving, and that's all we learned.
Yeah, I don't think we really know, but I imagine he got turned into a vampire. Roy McDougal. He's the one who's his wife was like hitting their baby son, and then the baby becomes a vampire. Do we know what happened?
No.
I don't quite remember either. I think. Well, I will say this.
Did the baby turn while it was in the house?
Yeah, like it died, and then remember, because they took the baby to the morgue. It died, and the mom was so upset, but then like the body disappeared at the morgue with Floyd Tibbetts.
It's good. Mark and Jimmy go to the trailer park.
Oh, they find that family, don't they?
Yeah.
Do that's right.
Yeah, they go to the. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've all been turned. The dad Roy and the mom Sandy, I think.
Yeah.
I did think it was. I gotta say, I was a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed in that, because we didn't get to see the baby vampire in action. Like, how does a baby vampire work? Like, what does that mean?
It crawls around, and as long as you can run faster than a crawling baby, then you're safe.
Well, like, my question is, the baby was barely a year old, and I think no, he would have some teeth, right? He would have some teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely. Some kids don't get them until later, but most likely he had some teeth. So that's not too much of a question. But like, if you looked at his eyes, could he hypnotize you, the baby?
Probably. Yeah.
Just like, wow. You know, some babies, like, their necks are not that stable.
You're like, well, it's easy not to look in your eyes because you're not holding it straight.
It's like, it makes me think of the snake from the Jungle Book. Like, I'm gonna say, yeah, he could hypnotize you with his. I don't know. I just thought that was so interesting, and I wish we could have seen it happen. Like,
yeah, that would.
How does a baby vampire work? I don't know. Can he fly? Can he transform? Like, I wanted to know. I really wanted to know for that one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, because like in any other stories, there's never baby vampires either. So
We should write one.
All right.
We could write a book. We'll call it The Book of Baby Vampires.
Oh, there you go.
And it'll be like an encyclopedia of all the baby vampires throughout all of literature, and it's just 1 page long. It's just Randy McDougal.
There you go. And then if you ever come across like a baby vampire, you can look it up in the encyclopedia and know, oh yeah, it's this type of baby vampire because it has.
Yes, it's a level. It's a level 6.
Be very informed about what you're dealing with.
Yes. I feel dumb. I'm sorry. Okay. Ruthie Crockett. We already talked about her. She got turned. She's hanging out with Dud now. Well, you know what? This makes me wonder. I don't know if this is a okay question to ask.
All right.
We try to keep things family friendly here, but like Dud, he was very he had some very impure thoughts about Ruthie, and then went and turned her into a vampire, and then it showed them like together. Do vampires have sex? You think? I don't know, because there's definitely, it's never very explicit, but there's definitely in some of these situations in the book, there's a sort of like, what's like a seductive quality, right? Where like when what's
what was that one comic book?
Yeah, the Vampirella.
Yeah, Vampirella. So that answers your question.
Well, I'm talking about in this book specifically, like when Susan comes and she's trying to get Mark to open the window, she's trying to like sort of seduce him, and she tells him like she's gonna kiss him all over or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's these two, and it's like it just sort of made me wonder, like the physical anatomy of a vampire. It's just my mind is going to weird places, wondering like I should stop. I should stop while I'm ahead. But yeah, I don't know. Even Twilight is like a love story, right? Like I think there's a lot of like vampire stories in general. I think there really is a lot of this sort of, it's a metaphor for sexuality kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of fell for Edward a little bit, so you got me.
I gotta say, he's cute, but you know, I gotta say, Team Jacob. Have you seen him? Have you seen him with his shirt off?
All right, we're not friends. We have to stop.
We should just cut this part out of the video. Every 5 minutes, Jacob's just like tearing off his shirt. Like, dude, like
all sexualized.
He gets angry and then he just tears his shirt off, like for no reason. He runs outside and tears off his shirt, and he's like standing there looking at the trees.
Yeah, but well, that's normally what people do though. Like I do that all the time whenever I get a little bit angry or grumpy. I'll just tear my shirt off. So
if I looked like Jacob, or you for that matter, I would take my shirt off a lot more often. I'll say that. So that's basically chapter 14, right?
That's it. Yeah.
And should we go ahead and do chapter 15?
Yeah, let's go.
15 is when it jumps back to the time of the prologue, right?
Oh yeah, in which you were correct in your presumptions of Ben and Mark being the kid and the man that were together.
So the tall man and the kid from the prologue, they are Ben and Mark. So they kill, that's right. So they kill Barlow,
right?
Chapter 14. And then the town, it's dark and the town is waking up, and like almost everyone's a vampire. So they just get in the car and they just drive and just get out of there.
Yeah, and Mark's so upset because like once again it like refers back to his parents being dead and everything, and now they're having to leave, and it's just kind of a we're not going to be able to make a difference here. We just got to get out while we still can. So they leave. Yeah. They're just like, jumping around.
Dr. Cody's dead. Matt Burke is dead. Susan's a vampire. Like his parents are dead. They have no one. Father Callahan disappeared. They're just like hopeless. So they just get out of town. So then it jumps to like them in Mexico. Because in the prologue, it talked about how they traveled across the country, and then they crossed the border into Mexico, and they were spending time there for a while, but then they decide to go back. And then that's pretty much it for chapter 15, right? Does it say?
Yeah, that's it. And then the epilogue just kind of has some little clips of newspapers of just every bunch of weird occurrences, like all these people are going missing. Nobody knows really why. And then they decide to head back to the town, and it doesn't say exactly. No, it does say. They go up to this random field where there used to be this huge, where a huge fire started, and it's a really dry season.
I was really wondering, because the fire was mentioned a couple times throughout the book, and I felt like a major fire in the town, that's the kind of thing that's not just mentioned and like it's just there. Like it's got to mean something. It's got to like serve a purpose. And yeah, it was really good foreshadowing, I thought.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot that they talked about it before.
A couple times, I think. Yeah. And so yeah, their basic plan is like they can't. It's gonna take them forever to go through the town and kill all the vampires during the day because like they can't go at night. And also, there's some evidence that like some of the vampires are spreading into other towns and stuff like that. And so they decide to like burn the town down. And so they, just like the fire that happened like, I don't know, 50 years earlier, they go and, or no, it wasn't that long. It was like 30 years earlier or something.
Yeah. And he goes to the place where it started 30 years earlier too. Which I
because it said something about like because of where it was located, the way the wind blew, like it was really hard to stop it or something like that.
Yeah.
So they just lit it in the same place.
Then purifies the town.
And then their basic plan is to burn, because all the vampires are like, you know, they're in hiding. They're really hard to find during the day. So their basic plan is to burn down all the houses, sort of flush the vampires out, hopefully kill a bunch of them in the fire, and then whichever ones are left over, they'll come through and get them because they won't have a place to hide.
Right.
And then it just ends. And that's the book.
That's it. That, folks, is Salem's Lot. They all lived happily ever after.
I had heard people say that like Salem's Lot didn't have a good ending. That like they didn't like it, but I liked that ending. I thought it would have been less realistic if they like had just gone through the town and killed all the vampires, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like
it just leaves it more open-ended of different possibilities. Like
it is more open-ended, which I know some people don't appreciate, but like to me it felt like a good ending because yeah, like this is a whole town. Even though I feel like when you read fiction or even watch movies or whatever, like these small towns are depicted in such a way that you think like it sort of gives you the mental impression that like, yeah, it's only like 10 houses and like 3 businesses or whatever, you know, but like there's still many hundreds of people in the town. You know, just imagine like our hometown. Well, I guess it's not your hometown, but my hometown, Middleton, like pretty small place. But imagine going to every single house and searching through every single place trying to find people hiding. Like you couldn't do that. Like it would take you years. So I don't know. I really liked the ending. I thought it was actually really cool.
No, I did too. I just thought like to finalize something and say that they'd killed all of them, it still leaves that little bit of fear that, I mean, there's hope that it killed them all, but there's possibility that it didn't.
Maybe it won't work. In fact, I would say it's pretty likely that they're not going to get all of them. Like, I think they'll be able to get most of them, but yeah, pretty likely a few are going to get away.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see him again in later Stephen King books.
But good book. Very good book.
Very good. I'm glad we read it. It was fun. Yeah. So what's next for us?
What is next? The Shining. That's what I was going to say. Yep. That's it.
We'll have to talk off camera sometime about how we're going to approach this. I don't know. It's a bit longer. This copy is close to 700. It's about 670, 680 pages. But I don't know. This one's supposed to be real good. It's like one of his most famous books.
Yeah, I'm excited. Have you seen the movie for that one?
No, I never have.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Have you then? So you kind of know the story?
Yeah.
I know, all I know about it, I've heard it's like a family. The dad is a writer. They go, I think it's Colorado. They go to some place. It's like a lodge, and they're alone. And the dad goes crazy and like kills the whole family, or tries to. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I know. But I'm interested in seeing how he devolves into madness. I saw, leading up to Halloween, my wife and I were watching the Simpsons Halloween special episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's one called The Shinning, and it's they're all staying in Mr. Burns's mansion in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And, the family, the Simpsons family, and then Bart has some sort of magical power, and the groundskeeper Willie, the Scottish guy, he's like, "You've got the shinning," and Bart's like, "Don't you mean the shining?" And then Willie's like, "Quiet! You want to get sued?" That was so funny. The shinning. And then Homer goes crazy and tries to kill the family.
Sweet.
But it was a good episode. It was funny. So I guess I've practically already read the whole story just from watching that episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you want to talk about it now?
Need to
We could
do
just make another video. Keep extending this about The Shining.
if this one's not long enough already. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, that was Salem's Lot, and that was probably way too loud. And I guess our next one is going to be starting The Shining.
Okay.
All right.
All right, bye. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's turned into a freaking vampire.
Oh boy.
So he's a vampire. He's running around doing whatever vampires do.
Yeah, in one of those little hospital gowns, because he left right from the mortuary. So that's embarrassing.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes in those crime TV shows, when they pull them out of the drawer, all they have is like a little towel over their crotch.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe he's running around.
Little crotch towel with a toe tag. That's all he's got. # vampire stuff.